I'm James and work for a company in my 40s. In front of me, there was Ryan, a young guy who graduated from a prestigious university, mocking me as he shoved documents at me.
Hey, you want to work, right? I've got something ready for you, old man. Translate this by the end of the day.
I took the papers from Ryan and quickly skimmed through them. It seemed to be a contract written in Spanish.
What's the matter? Was it too difficult for you? You probably won't finish it by the end of the day.
As Ryan tried to walk away, I stopped him. Wait a second, is this today's contract?
Yeah, so what?
With a bored sigh, Ryan shrugged, and I calmly replied, I read through it, and this contract is completely unacceptable.
What are you talking about? An old man like you can read Spanish?
Ryan snapped back at me in frustration. However, I remained calm and pointed out the flaws in the document. The next moment, Ryan's face turned pale and his eyes widened. My name is James, and I'm a 43-year-old office worker. For the past 8 years, I've been working at an overseas branch, but starting today, I'll be back at the main office for the first time in a while, and I'm feeling a little nervous. I lost my dad when I was a child and was raised by my mom as a single parent. Watching her work tirelessly for my sake, I couldn't bear it and planned to start working right after high school. However, my mom insisted I graduate from college, so I worked part-time at a local store while completing my degree. After that, my mom remarried, and we moved overseas with my stepfather, who was a foreign national. I attended a local university there, but my stepfather suddenly disappeared. And after I graduated, my mom and I returned to the United States together. That's when I joined my previous company. The company was a factory, but the people working there were all kind and taught me various work skills and know-how, even though I was young and had no real-world experience. They didn't just train me on the work itself. They also encouraged me to pick up machine skills and technical knowledge, saying it would be essential in the future. Thanks to them, I gained technical and industrial knowledge, even though my degree wasn't related to the field. While I'm grateful for all I learned at that company, it eventually went bankrupt, and I changed my job, and I was hired by my current company. My experience studying abroad and my abilities were recognized, and I was eventually sent to an overseas branch as the branch manager. Having always leaned on my mom for support, I was worried about leaving her alone. However, I wanted to meet everyone's expectations, so I threw myself into work every day. As a result, I was able to build strong trust with the local staff, and the branch's performance steadily improved. After 8 years of working this way, my achievements were recognized, and I received an order to return to the main office. The employees at the branch regretted seeing me go, but were happy for my promotion. I believed that those who had grown so much in my absence would be more than capable of expanding the branch. And so, I bid farewell and returned to the main office for the first time in years. While I had been working hard overseas, the main office had moved to a new building, far more impressive than the one I remembered. Starting today, this building would be my workplace. With a mix of excitement and trepidation, I stepped into the pristine office. Having been away from the main office for so long, I didn't recognize any of the employees. It seemed there were only a handful of people left who knew me. One of them was the department head, Alex. Alex suggested that I start working as a regular employee first to get a feel for the company atmosphere. I had no objections to this idea. And so I began working as a new employee, keeping my background a secret from the other employees. Thank you for having me from today, I said as I introduced myself, greeted by warm applause. Similar to my experience at the overseas branch, I felt confident about building good relationships with the employees at the main office, but that feeling only lasted until I was introduced to a younger colleague. On my first day, I spent time getting to know the clients, contracts, and other details through brief introductions and reviews. The next day, I was introduced to a younger employee named Ryan. Ryan had graduated from a prestigious university and, despite only being with the company for a few years, was known for his exceptional understanding, judgment, and knowledge. With a gentle smile, Alex introduced Ryan to me.
He's going to be a key figure in our company's future. I think you both can learn a lot from each other.
I nodded sincerely at Alex's words. It's easy to lose sight of your initial enthusiasm once you get used to the jobs, so I genuinely admired Ryan's youthful energy and determination. My name's James. I look forward to working with you. I introduced myself with those words, but Ryan only gave me a quick glance before looking away again. A few seconds later, he responded curtly.
Oh, I'm Ryan.
What's going on? Are young people today just bad at communication? Feeling puzzled by his behavior, I began working under Ryan's supervision. But it turned out that my initial sense of unease wasn't misplaced. As soon as Alex left, Ryan's demeanor changed. He looked annoyed and glared at me.
Why do I have to train some old guy?
With those words, he quickly walked away and began working on his own tasks. I figured that for someone as young and talented as Ryan, mentoring a middle-aged guy like me must feel like a hassle, so I decided to overlook it from the start. Well, he'll probably remember what he's supposed to do by tomorrow. That's what I thought at the time, but it might have been a mistake. From the next day on, Ryan gave me no instructions or explanations and simply went about his own tasks without involving me. Worse yet, when he saw me observing his work and taking notes on workflows, client information, and contract details on my own initiative, he began to sneer at me.
Oh man, taking notes by hand? What century are you living in? Or is it that you can't remember anything unless you jot it all down? Use your phone or a computer for that. Seriously, I haven't used a notepad since elementary school. Is this how you've always been?
Ryan spoke with obvious mockery, and though I felt irritated inside, I responded politely. Well, in my first year as a professional, I was taught to take notes on everything new I encountered.
Oh, so you did that at your last job too? I guess you couldn't remember anything without writing it down. That's probably why you got fired from your previous company. Because you're incompetent, right?
Ryan stared intently at my face for a moment before suddenly bursting into laughter. I stared at his profile in shock. The other employees around us acted indifferent, as if it had nothing to do with them, with a detached and uninterested demeanor. No one tried to stop Ryan. I had never been ashamed of being a new employee, nor had I ever felt disrespected in this company. If anything, I had always received words of encouragement and support, but it seemed that in just 8 years, the company culture had completely changed. As I bit my lip in frustration, Ryan continued his verbal attacks.
Writing notes by hand? You won't be able to keep up with the pace of work like that. It's obvious that someone as useless as you can't handle proper tasks. I'll make sure you only get the kind of simple work even a clueless guy like you can manage. Be grateful.
Ryan called out to an employee passing by.
Hey, that's for the next meeting, right? Let this old guy handle the copying. You can leave it to him.
Hearing that, the employee hesitantly handed the documents to Ryan.
All right, no problem. Leave it to me.
With those words, Ryan thrust the documents into my hands. He shoved the documents at me so roughly that I nearly dropped them. Seeing this, Ryan glared at me and shouted angrily.
Hey, you useless idiot. If you dare drop these important documents, you'll regret it.
Then, he piled a mountain of documents into my hands.
Copying or cleaning doesn't require notes, does it? Or do you need notes on how to use a copier or a broom too? You're such an analog guy. Bet you don't understand anything about machines. You're getting paid, so at least do this much work.
I thought about responding, But when I saw the troubled expressions on the employees' faces, I decided it wasn't worth it and swallowed my words. Then, as I headed to the copier as instructed, Ryan hurried me along.
Come on, hurry up. If you take your time, we'll run out of it. Even an old guy like you must have done copying before, right? Just get it done already.
Holding back my frustration, I obeyed Ryan's orders. His arrogant behavior only escalated from there. Thinking I was just a middle-aged and new employee, he constantly looked down on me. He also took every opportunity to flaunt the fact that he had graduated from a prestigious university. His entire sense of judgment seemed to revolve around academic background, and his pride in being a top graduate was immense. Even so, I was now Ryan's junior coworker, and I had no choice but to endure the situation.
Hey, old man. Make sure there are enough drinks ready for the next meeting. I mean, do I really have to spell it out for you? Can't you figure out something that obvious? Stop wasting all those years of your life.
As Ryan passed by, he deliberately bumped into my shoulder, laughing loudly as he returned to his desk. It seemed my collision with the wall was visible from the hallway, as an employee who had been with the company for years and was on his way to meet a client looked at me with a surprised expression.
Wait, is that you, James? When did you come back?
Oh, Nick, it's been a while. He used to be one of my team members, but now he holds a respectable position in the company. Nick quickly realized that Ryan had deliberately bumped into me, and with a frown, he started to call out to Ryan.
Hey, you there.
Wait, it's fine. He's my boss now. More importantly, are you okay on time? I pointed to the clock, and Nick, startled, quickly said goodbye and left. Following Ryan's instructions, I headed to the break room to prepare the drinks. But Ryan's harassment continued daily after that. He made me staple hundreds of documents for meetings, shred piles of unnecessary paper, and haul bags of shredded paper to the trash. He instructed me to procure dozens of umbrellas for visitors and urgently gather helmets for site inspections, constantly assigning me only trivial tasks. That wasn't the end of it. He would give me meeting times that were 10 minutes late, exclude me from important updates, and even configure the email system to withhold critical work emails from me. His behavior escalated more and more over time. It's one thing to dislike me, but stop creating issues that interfere with work. When I confronted him about it, he lashed out at me instead.
Who the hell do you think you are? You're just some useless old man who can't even do his job properly. I'm your supervisor, and I'm teaching you step by step. You're not ready for work-related updates yet, so shut up and stop complaining.
Then, Ryan crossed a line that should never have been crossed. That day, I was scheduled to accompany Ryan. It was a meeting with a client that had been planned for some time, involving a major contract that could lead to a strong partnership for the next several years if things went well. Last night, Ryan handed me the materials and repeatedly emphasized the importance of the meeting.
Don't you dare be late tomorrow. I'm letting you observe a critical negotiation, so take it seriously.
Hearing his words, I felt a small sense of relief. Even though he doesn't like me, he's still letting me participate in an important meeting. If I get more opportunities like this, maybe my relationship with Ryan will gradually improve. After all, he's young and talented. Even if he's misunderstanding things now, he'll mature as he gains experience and learns more. I had high hopes, but the next day brought an unbelievable turn of events. That morning, I noticed Ryan was nowhere to be seen at the office and asked another employee about it. What? He's already left?
Yes. The meeting time was changed, so today's negotiation with the client started first thing in the morning. Ryan was informed about the change the day before yesterday. Didn't he tell you?
Apparently, I had not been informed about the change in schedule. Looking at the clock, I saw that the meeting had already begun. I slowly walked back to my desk. What is Ryan thinking? Frustration and sadness welled up inside me, and I bit my lip. I was angry at Ryan for his actions, but even more so, I was angry at myself for being mocked and treated this way by someone more than 10 years younger than me. Why am I letting myself be disrespected like this? This is pathetic. Each day made me doubt my own worth, and I had completely lost my confidence. I had returned to the main office to work, yet I wasn't allowed to participate in negotiations or meetings, nor was I given any real work. The only tasks I was assigned were trivial ones like making copies or cleaning, and I wasn't given any meaningful responsibilities. Even so, Ryan's my boss, and I was not in a position to defy him. Alex had instructed me to learn from Ryan. I didn't want to betray Alex's expectations, and above all, I couldn't bear the humiliation of anyone finding out that I was being bullied by someone younger than me. Reporting harassment from a younger colleague felt like admitting to my own failure in managing relationships, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it. The idea of complaining that I wasn't being given tasks, wasn't informed of meeting times, and wasn't respected felt too petty to bring up. For someone in their 40s, reporting something like this to Human Resources Department felt beyond embarrassing. Resigned, I immersed myself in reading the materials and waited for Ryan to return. Since I couldn't attend the negotiation, I had no choice but to dig into the details myself to understand as much as possible. I searched for ways to contribute and kept working hard. The new product our company is about to launch heavily depends on materials purchased from a major overseas corporation, a deal discussed at today's meeting. Ryan was chosen to lead this project. For the past few months, he had been running around to various places, almost as if he had forgotten I existed. However, I couldn't help but feel uneasy about the significant authority Ryan held over such a major project. As promising as he may be, can someone who's only been with the company a few years really handle such a large-scale project? Concerned, I tried to talk to him several times, but Ryan refused to listen.
Are you underestimating me just because I'm young? A job like this is a breeze for a top university graduate like me. I can handle it just by reviewing past documents. I'm on a completely different level than you.
With that, he dismissed me without considering anything I said. Although Ryan provided updates to the employees upon his return, no one but him knew the exact progress of the project. This lack of transparency made it impossible to handle tasks or minor adjustments when he was unreachable. As we prepare to launch the new product, is anyone overseeing the factory operations and necessary production processes? As I pondered these concerns, Ryan finally returned after several hours. His face was flushed with excitement, brimming with confidence as he walked in. On his way to his desk, he glanced at me.
Wow, I didn't even notice you were here. Your presence is so faint.
Ryan, why didn't you inform me about the meeting's rescheduled time today? I couldn't help but confront him, but he ignored me and threw a stack of documents written in Spanish at me.
All right, I get it. You want work, right? Here, I'll give you something. Translate this by the end of the day, old man.
Laughing mockingly, he shoved the papers into my hands. I took them and quickly skimmed through. It was a contract written entirely in Spanish.
What's the matter? You wanted work, didn't you? Or is Spanish too hard for a useless old guy like you? Guess there's no way you'll finish it today.
As he turned to leave, I stopped him in his tracks. Wait, is this today's contract?
Yeah, so. If you keep asking stupid questions, I'll make sure you never get any work again.
Ryan shot me a bored glare, but I calmly responded, I've read it through, and this contract is completely unacceptable.
What the hell are you talking about? A new employee like you could understand it. Stop making stuff up.
Ryan shot back angrily, but I calmly pointed out the issues with the document. Look here, the unit of measurement is incorrect.
Unit?
Caught off guard, Ryan's voice cracked as he leaned in to look at the contract I was holding. The contract itself was straightforward, something you could skim through in 3 seconds. But what I saw written within it revealed a major issue. I quickly translated the document and read it aloud. As I read, not only Ryan but also the surrounding employees who had gathered to listen appeared shocked.
What's wrong with it? This deal doesn't seem like it causes any losses to our company.
Read the wording carefully. Does it seem fine to you? This is written in metric units.
Metric? What are you talking about? That can't be right, can it?
As Ryan's confidence crumbled, he couldn't help but snatch the contract from my hands and review it himself. Moments later, he began trembling, clearly shaken.
No way. This can't be happening.
The contract indeed listed the unit as 30 centimeters. Converting that to the imperial system, 30 centimeters equals roughly 1 foot. In other words, the price Ryan thought was for 1 yard was actually for just 1 foot. 3 times more expensive than he had anticipated. Realizing his mistake, Ryan turned pale and frantically reread the document multiple times. But no matter how many times he read it, the figures on the page remained unchanged.
This has to be some kind of mistake. It's not my fault. The other side must have made a typo. I'm not to blame.
His voice cracked as he shouted in panic, desperately trying to defend himself. It's true that to prevent such errors, both units are typically listed side by side. Cases like this, where only the other party's unit is used, are quite rare. Ryan likely misunderstood the figures written in the metric system as imperial units because he was accustomed to using the imperial system in his daily work. However, the contract included a small note written in Spanish, indicating that the measurements were in the metric system. The note was written in barely legible text and tucked away in the corner of the page. Considering this, it might have been intentional on the other party's part. However, regardless of the reason, it was Ryan's mistake to overlook the note and assume the figures were in imperial units without verifying the details. In the first place, being subjected to such a trick suggests that we're not being taken seriously. Fortunately, the contract hasn't been finalized yet, so there's still a chance to turn things around. Let's contact Alex immediately. We need to head to the client right away.
Don't you dare take action on your own. You're a new employee. This is my contract.
Ryan glared at me angrily, but I took the contract back from his hand and moved on to my next steps.
Hey, old man. Don't ignore me.
Behind me, Ryan was still yelling loudly. However, I ignored him and calmly pulled out the necessary documents from the pile I had been reviewing earlier. As I hurriedly finished preparing, Alex appeared.
What's going on, James? What's all this about?
Alex, looking surprised, started to ask me what was going on, but before I could respond, Ryan interrupted.
Alex, this old man is sabotaging my work. He's just a new employee, jealous of me, a prestigious university graduate, and trying to undermine me. He's the one ruining the deal I worked so hard to secure.
Ryan, his face a mix of anger, frustration, and panic, continued ranting.
The other company used metric units or whatever because they looked down on us for being a bottom-tier company that hires old men like him. So this isn't my fault. It's his. He's the one to blame. Alex, you need to say something to him too.
His rambling accusations were so incoherent that even he didn't seem to understand what he was saying anymore. Ryan was desperately trying to pin all the blame on me. The sight of his frantic and undignified behavior was pitiful, completely lacking the intellect you'd expect from someone with his academic background. Rather than feeling angry, I found myself pitying him. Ignoring Ryan's outburst, I turned to Alex and explained the situation concisely. Alex, there's an issue with the contract. Here's the translated content. I've also prepared similar documents from past deals for comparison. Alex reviewed the documents I handed him, and his expression changed immediately.
If we go through with this deal, it will be a huge loss for our company.
The contract hasn't been finalized yet. I'm planning to head to the client now to address this. Hearing this, Ryan regained some composure and stepped forward aggressively.
Hey, this is my contract. Don't you dare steal it from me.
Ryan, keep quiet.
Without even glancing at Ryan, Alex silenced him with a single remark.
Should I go with you to the client?
That would be reassuring. Please do. I faced Alex's words directly and took them to heart. I called the client. Then I began speaking in fluent, seamless Spanish. The surrounding employees watched in astonishment, but I didn't have time to acknowledge them. Once I confirmed the appointment, I informed Alex and grabbed the keys to a company car. At his desk, Ryan sat pale and stunned, unable to move. However, we didn't have time to worry about him and quickly left for the client. In the end, I was able to negotiate successfully with the client. We reached a mutually satisfactory agreement and shook hands. At first, the other side looked down on me and Alex, assuming we were there to replace Ryan. But once they heard my fluent Spanish, their attitude quickly shifted, and they treated the deal as an equal transaction. According to them, they never intended to play any tricks from the start. However, when they presented the contract without any Imperial units, Ryan didn't notice the issue. Instead, he responded with excitement, thinking he was about to land such a great deal. Before this, Ryan had been treating the other company with a condescending attitude, which had caused some discomfort. As a result, the other party had silently watched, amused, without pointing out Ryan's mistake, wondering whether he would really go ahead and sign such a ridiculous deal. One of our young employees acted inappropriately. However, I would appreciate it if we could avoid such surprises in the future. When I conveyed this, the executives from the other side immediately apologized for their prank. And so we reconciled. The situation was resolved, and it ended with the understanding that we could build a good partnership moving forward. Back at the main office, I reported to the employees who had been anxiously waiting for us, telling them that the contract had been successfully finalized. Of course, I made sure to mention that the amount had been corrected, and everyone broke into applause. However, there was one exception, Ryan, who remained slumped at his desk with his face hidden. Suddenly, he stood up with a loud noise and stood in front of me.
In the end, you just stole my credit, didn't you, old man?
Ryan complained, but not a single person sided with him.
Ryan, calm down and listen.
Taking over from Alex, I said this calmly. Do you understand how much trouble you've caused for everyone around you? At my question, Ryan flinched, but he quickly adopted a childish expression and retorted,
What's with that tone? That was my contract. You call it a mistake, but it was just a misunderstanding, and the other side was playing tricks. I'm not at fault. I could have handled it myself, but you just took it away from me.
Enough, Ryan, I said sharply, and Ryan froze, looking confused. He must have been surprised since I had never raised my voice like this since returning to the company. If you had been working with the other employees to move the deal forward, someone would have noticed and stopped it. But instead, you went ahead with it on your own, and now we're dealing with this. Don't you acknowledge that? To fail and then shift the blame onto others without reflection. It's disgraceful for a professional. At my calm yet unyielding words, Ryan fell silent. Alex, with a bitter smile, spoke to Ryan.
Ryan, James here is one of the top performers in our company. He turned our overseas branch into one of the top performers in just a few years.
What? That's a lie. He's the guy who got fired from his last company, right? He's just a new and regular employee, right?
Even at this point, Ryan was still complaining. I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of disbelief as I interrupted. Yes, I am a new employee, but the fact that I was fired from my previous company is completely your misunderstanding. You've been thinking of me as some guy who got fired, but that's not true. And by the way, my name is not Old Man. It's James. Ryan, who had been looking down, remained silent, and Alex spoke patiently to him.
James has a different background and career than you, Ryan. That's why I thought you could learn a lot from him, which is why I paired you up with him. It seems I was wrong in my judgment.
At Alex's words, Ryan finally collapsed onto the floor, defeated. After that, Ryan disappeared from the main office. It wasn't because he was fired. There had been calls to let him go, but I stopped that from happening. Ryan is young, and if he weren't so arrogant, his passion for his work is undeniable. And passion for one's work isn't a bad thing. It should be praised. On my advice, Ryan was sent to work as a regular employee at one of our regional branches. In the region, he got hands-on experience from the ground level, working in the factory and understanding the flow of products. He learned that business is about the connections between people. When I heard that, I felt a sense of satisfaction. Given that Ryan is a smart guy, I knew that working in the field would help him understand what needed to be done and what he was missing. That decision paid off, and it lifted a weight off my chest. One day, Ryan would learn from this mistake, grow from it, and come back to the main office a better person. That's my hope. I looked up at the sky in the direction of the region where Ryan was, filled with expectations. 1 year passed. Work was flowing smoothly. I was officially promoted to the head of the sales department at the main office. Alex was appointed as the executive director. Since then, we have continued to have successful contracts with that same client. Since graduating from college, I've always been shaped by society, or maybe it was even before that. My mom raised me as a single parent throughout elementary school, middle school, high school, and university. Though my stepfather, who was foreign, is no longer around, he taught me about different cultures, and more importantly, living abroad helped me develop my language skills. Thanks to the support of many people and the encounters I've had, I am who I am today. Now, as a way to give back, I want to focus on developing new talent. I want to nurture reliable employees who can support the company. Until the day I leave the company, I will continue to evolve alongside it. With that thought, I picked up a report from the field.